He is standing under a fluorescent light at 6:47 in the evening, wiping grease off his knuckles with a rag that stopped being useful an hour ago. And through the open bay door, he watches a man drive off in a car that still has the plastic film on the seat pockets. The mechanic does not wave. He does not smile.
He just watches the taillights disappear and turns back to the engine on his lift, an engine that is 14 years old and still breathing like it has something to prove. This is not a man who dislikes new things. This is a man who has spent his whole life inside the machinery of trust. And trust, once you have taken it apart enough times, stops looking like a feeling and starts looking like a decision.
Most people buy a new car the way they buy hope. They walk into a showroom under lights designed by people who studied exactly how dopamine responds to a clean dashboard and the smell of fresh vinyl, and they leave with a loan and a feeling that this time things will be different. The mechanic knows what is under the hood before he even opens it. He has seen the same sensor fail in the same spot on 3 different models from 3 different years, and so when he looks at a brand new car, he does not see possibility. He sees an unopened box of problems that have not introduced themselves yet. That is the first reason, and it is the simplest one. He has replaced the same part too many times to believe in luck. Where an ordinary buyer sees shine, he sees a pattern. His brain has built what almost feels like a private radar, sharpened through thousands of repetitions. The kind of pattern recognition that develops only when you fail at guessing and then get shown the answer over and over until guessing turns into knowing. This is not intuition in the mystical sense. It is closer to muscle memory built inside the mind, wiring shaped by repetition until the answer arrives before the question is even finished.
Most people never get to feel this. They live once through a decision and move on. He lives through the same decision hundreds of times a year, from underneath a car with his arms aching and his back against cold concrete. But under that pattern recognition sits something quieter, something almost embarrassing to say out loud. He does not trust new cars because he does not trust things that have not been tested by pain.
Somewhere early in his life, trust was something that had to be earned through failure, not given freely because something looked good. Maybe it was a father who promised things and did not follow through. Maybe it was a first job where the boss smiled in interviews and turned cold once contracts were signed. We rarely ask why a person needs proof before they believe in something. We just call them cautious, or difficult, or old-fashioned. But underneath caution is usually an old wound that taught someone, quietly and early, that shiny things break your heart faster than dull ones do. He is not choosing an old car. He is choosing predictability over hope, because predictability never abandoned him the way hope once did. The second reason lives in something almost invisible. He does not like being told what to do by a machine he cannot argue with.
New cars are filled with software, screens, systems that override human judgment in the name of safety. To most people, this feels like comfort. To him, it feels like losing control of the one thing his hands have always been able to fix. There is a kind of quiet grief in watching your skill become obsolete, in realizing that the world no longer needs your hands the way it once did. He is not just avoiding a car.
He is avoiding a future where his competence stops mattering. Skill is not just something we use, it becomes something we are. When your identity is built around understanding something with your hands, machines that hide their wiring behind plastic and code do not feel like progress. They feel like erasure. And so what looks like stubbornness from the outside is actually self-preservation on the inside. He is protecting the version of himself that still matters, the version that can look at a strange noise and know, without being told by a screen, exactly what it means. The third reason is about money, but not in the way people assume. He is not simply avoiding debt. He is avoiding the specific feeling of being locked into something he cannot escape. A car loan is not just numbers on paper to him. It is 5 years of being tied to a decision he made in a moment of temporary excitement. He has watched customers come in stressed, overworked, arguing on the phone with lenders about payments on a car that is already losing value the moment it leaves the lot. He has seen what debt does to a person's shoulders, how it changes the way they carry themselves, how their voice gets smaller when they talk about money. He is not cheap. He is careful.
There is a difference, and it is built on watching consequences up close instead of reading about them from a distance. Most people learn about risk through warnings. He has learned about risk through witnessing it firsthand, sitting across from someone whose optimism cost them comfort for years. Watching pain happen to others teaches lessons that statistics never can.
It rewires how a person weighs decisions, tilting them permanently toward caution, sometimes even when caution is no longer necessary. The fourth reason is quieter still, almost tender if you look closely enough. He drives an old car because it feels earned. There is comfort in something that has been through struggle with you, something that has rattled through winters and carried you home late at night without complaint.
New things ask nothing of you. Old things remember you. And for someone who has spent his life fixing what is broken, there is a strange peace in owning something broken in rather than something untouched. We rarely admit this about ourselves, that we sometimes love things, not because they are perfect, but because they have survived alongside us. His car is not a status symbol. It is a witness.
And the fifth reason, the one underneath all the others, is the hardest one to say simply. He does not trust things that have not failed yet. Not people, not machines, not promises. Failure to him is not the opposite of trust. Failure is the only real proof of it. A new car has not lied to him yet, but it also has not told him the truth yet either. He needs to see the cracks before he can believe in the whole. This is where his story stops being about cars, because underneath every choice he makes is something almost every person carries without naming it. The quiet belief that things which have not yet disappointed us simply have not had the chance to yet. Some people protect themselves from that fear by chasing everything new, replacing before things can fail.
Staying one step ahead of heartbreak by never letting anything grow old enough to hurt them. Others protect themselves the way he does, by trusting only what has already survived, by finding comfort in things that have proven their reliability through damage rather than promise. Neither way is wrong. They are simply two different answers to the same old fear, the fear of trusting something that might let us down.
He is not really talking about cars when he says he does not trust anything new. He is talking about every relationship, every job, every version of hope he has ever protected himself from getting hurt by too soon. So maybe the real question is not about mechanics or engines or shiny new things sitting untouched under fluorescent light. Maybe the real question is this. What in your life are you still refusing to trust simply because it has not broken your heart yet?